Three-tuber. No, V-tuber. Pound. Tuber. Pound. V-tuber. I want to do the uprising one. Da, 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 da. Of course, one it's going to be on at the same time. Minecraft, apparently. And damn, everyone does Friday nights. It's fine. Just share them anyway, because I have to like my own post. Not that hurry up for likes. Oh, maybe I am. I don't know. Ooh, Christopher Lloyd cast in season 3 of Mandalorian. There'll be another Star Trek crossover. Cool. Season 3 is going to be on. Oh, someone got the first payout. Must be nice. Okay. I guess sound alerts are on. Okay. It's after 9 o'clock, but I posted that I wasn't going to be reading right away, so. I'm hooked on a feeling, and I know the reason. You're in love with me. Love a silly concept. Oh, what's I doing? Oh, yeah. Spreading the word that, hey, I'm going to be on. Because, well, I guess I could throw the talking head up. Boop. Whoa, hello. How you doing? Self-promo. Oh, no Berserker head. Give them a follow. Because I like following people. They're currently at 7 followers, so now they have 8, which is nice. Oh, Ironic Smiles has already liked my tweet. Cool. However, I will give them a follow in both cases. Boots and cat, boots and cat. Oh, it's messaging me. No, not posted. That sounds about normal. want to put sound alerts on? I don't want to do sound alerts while I'm reading stories. That would just cause more chaos than it's already in my mind. So, put up Gene. Whoa! I was missing something there. Why did it cut off early? Ooh, bad sound. No, it is bottom. Does not get the teeth. Somehow I'm still fourth when I play my own sound alerts all the time. Oh well. No drama here. What the? Oh, what's going on with sound alerts? That was weird. Okay, well, since I'm clearly here, I'll go ahead and turn on the lights. Overture, curtain lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more nursing, rehearsing the part. We know every part by heart. I don't know the rest of that song, sorry. Okay, anywhere else I can post it, I'm going to be doing this stuff. Anyone out there? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you smell me? Now, there was an interesting brought up in the stream I was kind of lurking on earlier, that part of the contract for affiliate was that you could not share your videos on another site for 24 hours. Does that mean that you can go ahead and transfer it to YouTube and tell it to not do a premiere for 24 hours? Because, I mean, there is that setting. It's not. I mean, you can export it, but you tell it when it releases. And it's very strange hearing myself echo. Because I'm listening to the audio of my stream while talking, and it's just freakiness. Hey, there was one person. Who's that one person? Who are you, Mobile Mail? I must know. Please tell me you're not a bot. Oh, damn, that was loud. Huh? Oh, it's interesting music anyway. Has 2.1 thousand followers, yet no videos, so kinda gotta assume it's a bot. But seeing as I don't have that many followers myself, but let me look at that real quick. Okay, followers list. So we got Coconut Akina, an Abian VT, an Akinake, Dungeon Crawler Clover. Hey Clover, what's up? I got Spark of Zeus because Zeus is cool. Next game's not sure about you. Eclipse XV. I got Rave the Cat. I got Hamanokazito. Of course, I got the good old Escalade, Brother Bear. Madam Sadie. Sleepy Nina. Saffron Nude. Execute Order 69420. Thistle Cat. And then I just got tools following me. I don't know if they really qualify because I got streaming tools, viewer rewards, setting out group, content group. Right. Rocket Leagues. We're achievement hunters. Momoka-san. Good old Fredbear 87. Got Vivzy. Got Olive Owl. Olive's cool. The Femboy Fox 65. Then I got Hatch. Hatch Gunner. And another Star Wars Galaxies. Then I got Jarek. One of the cool kids I've been hanging around with for, God, almost 2 years now. Then I got Vesuvius. Vest Games 15. Well, 115. Or Vesuvius or the Dire Wawa. Dire Wawa! Then I got Bridget Rati. I got the cub that I mod for, Unbreakable Tamaskeen. Then I got DJ Alpha Omega, who looks like they... Oh, they're still playing right now. They're playing Elden Ring. Cool. Got the Lady Trek, another friend I've known for a very, very long time. God, how long have I known Trek? It's been almost, 15 to 20 years, I guess. Then I got Snowpuff. My first mutual, which was awesome. Then I got Shadow Puppet Man. I should really make a list of all these people and find a way to get it scrolling on the screen. Because I really do appreciate all my followers. Oh, I'm going to say 35 of you since, at least I got 37, but, I know I don't really have that many people who watch. And let's see, what else do I have going on here? Okay, Jumpscare played the whole thing. That's not the other one. Horror String Jumpscare? Is that the same sound? Nope, that's the piano one. I wonder if I need to, It is a full moon tonight, so there's always this. That's a lot better live. Oh, hell, I guess I could do a live one, really. Because it is a full moon, and I am, as you see, a wolf. And nobody's around to criticize. I might as well give my own a woo. I mean, just saying a woo was cute and all, and being going, a woo, woo, woo. Beano is precious. Lumi, you go, to herself. Arctic Yumi, she's got a cute woo as well. But then there's my woo, which I don't want to do in front of the microphone. So, microphone tilted away. I'd say all the cutie-woos out there are the ones who don't have muzzles. So I guess the muzzle kind of helps a little bit on the wooing. Anyway. And give it a woo. Here we go. There you go. You have heard my woo. You're right. What movie am I not paying attention to? Because it's looked really interesting and Polish on it earlier. What is it? Oh, I was watching House Party. That's House Party 2 now. Cool. And I did not realize House Party 2 was 1991. And I feel old now. Not that I didn't feel old before checking. Okay. Just for posterity, I'm going to woo again. So, let me warm up the muzzle. We gotta do big old huff and puff. Oh, damn. And here we go. I'm not taking nearly as deep as breaths as I used to. People found out the hard way that you could not take me to a Halloween festival because if they're doing a werewolf Halloween contest, if I'm louder than the people with the microphone, there's a lot to be said about me howling. The fact I did it where they couldn't see I was doing it, that made it all the better. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Shadow's gonna diggy hole with apple juice. Tempted to peek in on her stream just for the hell of it. Oh. Okay. Let's see, spots on. How many of my wolfish comrades are out there right now? Let's see, Wolven's out. Deckle Runo's out. Cherry's out. Ginger Kitsu's out. Spite's out. I already mentioned Spite. Okay. I'm gonna have to program something into Steam bot or Nightbot or whichever bot so I can make a call out list or something. But anyway, we're here to read fairy tales, aren't we? So, check one thing real quick. Man. This. I just logged into Smite. Not sure everyone will play that game, but I ended up playing Fenrison anyway. High single target damage, high mobility. Yep, looks like a good thing for Fenrison. I've got other streams open just so I can, download stuff and get rewards and whatnot. Delete? What was that? Blood pancakes. Yeah. Okay, you gotta stop reading Discord. Start reading book. And since we're reading books, we will go to the book reading screen. Check it out. Me in a suit. Still not wearing ties. Never have. Too much of a collar leash thing. I mean, the tie is a collar with a leash attached. But anyway, gonna be reading more of the wonderful Brothers Grimm. Notice this one is translated and edited by Jack Sipes. And it was read by Andrea Dizzo. Ouch. Not that you oversee the inside of the book because, well, I haven't quite figured out how to set that up yet. I just now got a stand to put my phone on. And my phone's dead. Oh, maybe. No, my phone's up to 20%. But still. It's turned off, plugged in, charging. So, already 25 minutes in, I haven't even opened the book yet. But I've held twice. And like I said in my Twitter post that one or two people might have read, gotten into the children being all brutalized. Well, not being brutalized, but brutalizing. And the last one I read was Cinderella and talking about her sisters cutting off heels and toes to get their feet in the slippers. But tonight we're going to be reading kids being kids, I guess. So, guess I should get into character. honestly, this week has been kind of rough. It's been spring break for both my niece and nephew, so they've had the entire week off from school, so I'm sure they're not ready for it back to them. Ready to go back to it Monday. And I was only drinking Irish coffees earlier. But, yeah. Sound alerts are turned off, so you know what? I'm going to turn them on. Make sure they're reactive.
Hello?
What the hell, sound alerts? Okay, well, maybe I'll turn sound alerts back off if they're not going to cooperate and actually work. Okay. My entire stream has been me howling and me tinkering with sound alerts. So anyway, you cubs had better be getting ready for bed because it's already 9:30-ish. It's a Friday. Honestly, I'd let the cubs stay up later than that, but the sooner the cubs get to sleep, the sooner I can raid their parents' kitchen and, cook some bacon. It's a full moon, I need bacon. I've had whiskey and coffee, I need bacon now. 3 basic food groups of wolves: coffee, whiskey, bacon. Oh, I have some bison that I've thawed out. I need to cook that too. Bison, bacon, coffee, whiskey. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, well. I'm enjoying just the thought of it. Oh. Full moons, man. They get me. Okay. Man. Okay. So, if you're comfy and cozy and ready for bed, I'll go ahead and start reading to you. Alright? Because it's a great story. Oh, it's kind of a dark story, but hey, dark stories are the best. I'd really like to visit the Black Forest. I just need some way to get there. And my 2 goals are to go to the Dark Forest and the Scottish Moors. If not Disney World again. So, yeah, Grimm Brothers. As the setup is, how some children played at slaughtering. In a city named Franeker, located in West Friesland, some young boys and girls between the ages of 5 and 6 happened to be playing with one another. They chose one boy to play the butcher, another boy to be a cook, a third boy to be a pig. Then they selected one girl to be a cook, and another to be her assistant. The assistant was to catch the blood of a pig in a little bowl so they could make sausages. Ooh, blood sausages, nice. Then they selected one girl. As agreed, the butcher now fell upon the little boy playing the pig, threw him on the ground, and slit his throat open with a knife, while the assistant cook caught the blood in her little bowl. A councilman was walking nearby and saw this wretched act. He immediately took the butcher boy with him and led him into the house of the mayor, who instantly summoned the entire council. They deliberated about this incident and didn't know what to do with the boy, for they realized it had been part of a children's game. One of the councilmen, a wise old man, advised the chief judge to take a beautiful red apple in one hand and run a brownish gold coin in the other. Then he was to call the boy and stretch out his hands. If the boy took the apple, he was to be set free. If he took the gold coin, he was to be killed. The judge took the wise man's advice, and the boy grabbed the apple with a laugh. Thus he set free without any punishment. Wow, that was dark. Okay. I bet the kid was wearing a red shirt beforehand. Let's see, here's another one. There once was a father who slaughtered a pig, and his children saw that. In the afternoon they began playing. One child said to the other, "You be the little pig, I'll be the butcher," then took a shiny knife and slit his little brother's throat. The mother was upstairs in a room bathing another child when she heard the cries of her son and immediately ran downstairs. Upon seeing what had happened, she took the knife out of her son's throat and was enraged that she stabbed the heart of the other boy, who had been playing the butcher. Then she quickly ran to the back to the room to tend her child in the bathtub. But while she had been gone, he had drowned in the tub. Now the woman became so frightened and desperate that she wouldn't allow the neighbors to comfort her, and finally hung herself. When her husband came back from the field and saw everything, he became so despondent that he died soon after. Oh, damn. Kids are going to have nightmares. I shouldn't be laughing, but damn. This puts cops and robbers in a whole new perspective. Isn't it kids running around with guns and shooting each other? Oh, okay, well. Yeah. And they were doing it all wrong. You're supposed to hang the pig up, then slit its throat so the blood rushes out and... Hold on, wait, I shouldn't be telling you that. I should not have told you that. I should not have told you that. It's like you don't pin it to the ground. You tie it up, hang it, and then slit it. These stories are just not kosher. Oh, if only something worked. Stories aren't kosher. Oh, damn, the badumta still isn't working. Oh, wait, I have sound alerts turned off. Oh, God. Let's try that again. These stories, they just aren't kosher. Okay, that was too early. But it worked, so. I just gotta keep playing the song. Man, these stories just aren't kosher. Oh. Ah, damn, I can't cue this shit up for Okay. Sorry, it was just funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's... Never mind. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, continuing. The little mouse, the little bird, and the sausage. That just... somebody's turning bad to me. Okay. Once upon a time, a little mouse, a little bird, and a sausage came together and set up house. For a long time they lived together in peace and happiness, and then they managed to increase their possessions by a considerable amount. The little bird's job was to fly into the forest every day and bring back wood. The mouse had to carry water, light the fire, and set the table, while the sausage did the cooking. The sausage does the cooking. Okay. Now, if things go too well for people, they always look for new things. So one day, as the bird was flying about, he came upon another bird, and he boasted and told him about his superb situation. But the other bird called him a poor sap because he had to do most of the work while the other two friends had easy lives. For instance, after the mouse started the fire and carried the water into the house, she generally went to her little room and rested until she was called to set the table. The sausage stayed by the pot and kept it on the cooking, and right at mealtime he slid through the stew and vegetables to make sure everything was salted and seasoned and ready to eat. Wait. The sausage slid through the vegetables or stew to season them. Uh, with itself, I guess? Well, it's a sausage. As soon as the little bird came home and laid down his bundle, then he would sit down at the table, and after finishing his meal, he would sleep soundly until the next morning. Such as their glorious life. However, the little bird had been disturbed with what the other bird had said the previous day, and told his companions that he had been their slave long enough and was no longer going to be taken for a fool. He wanted them to change and try another arrangement. No matter how long the mouse and the sausage vehemently argued against this, the bird dominated and insisted that they try a new way. So they drew lots, and it fell upon the sausage to get the wood, the mouse became cook, and the bird had to fetch water. What happened? After the sausage went to fetch the wood, the bird started the fire, and the mouse put the kettle on the stove. Then they waited for the sausage to return home with the wood for the next day. However, the sausage was gone for such a long time that the other two had an uneasy feeling, and the bird flew out a little way to meet him. Not far from their home, the sausage had encountered a dog. Now this dog had considered the sausage free game and grabbed him and swallowed him down. Because dogs are sausage swallowers, clearly. Take that as you will. The little bird arrived and accused the dog of highway robbery, but it was of no use, for the dog maintained that he had found forged letters on the sausage. Therefore, the sausage had to pay with his life. What? The sausage had forgeries on it, so he had to die. Now the little bird sadly picked up the wood and carried it back home. He told the mouse that what he had seen and heard, and they were distressed. Nevertheless, they agreed to do the best they could and stay together. Meanwhile, the little bird set the table, and the mouse prepared the meal. She intended to put the finishing touches on it by seasoning it and sliding through the vegetables the way the sausage used to do, but before she even reached the middle of the vegetables, she got stuck and had to pay for it with her life. Okay, so the mouse got stuck in a vegetable. Okay. When the bird came to serve the meal, there was no cook. He became so upset that he scattered wood all over the place, calling and searching for the mouse. But his cook was no longer to be found. Since the little bird was so distracted, he didn't notice that the wood had caught fire and the house went up in flames. The bird rushed out to fetch some water, but the bucket slipped and fell into the well, dragging the bird along. Since he couldn't manage to get himself out, he was left to drown. Okay. I'm sure that's got a moral in it somewhere. If you got a good thing going, don't change. Hot dogs shouldn't forge paperwork. Mice shouldn't slip into vegetables. and and birds can't swim. Okay, yeah, we're definitely in the morbid section of this book, aren't we? Okay. Mother Hole. Holle, Holly, I guess. A widow had two daughters, one who was beautiful and diligent, the other was ugly and lazy. But she was fonder of the ugly and lazy one, and the other had to do all the work, and was just like Cinderella in the house. Okay, that's a reference to the previous stories, well, previous stream, because that's when we read Cinderella. Now one day the beautiful maiden went out to fetch water. As she bent over to pull the bucket from the well, she leaned over too much and fell into the water. And when she woke, she came to her senses. She was lying on the ground of a beautiful meadow. The sun was shining and thousands of flowers were growing. She left the meadow, and soon she came to a baker's oven full of bread. And the bread was yelling, "Oh, take me out, or else I'll burn. I've already baked too long enough." Why the bread talking? I think Cinderella's the one who's baked, not the bread. Okay. Yeah. So she went to the oven and diligently took out everything. After that, she moved on to a full tree of apples. "Oh, shake me, the tree exclaimed. "All my apples are ripe." So she shook the tree until the apples fell like raindrops, and she kept shaking until all had fallen to the ground. After that, she moved on. At last, she came to a small cottage where an old woman was looking out of a window. She had such big teeth that the maiden was scared and wanted to run away. But the old woman cried after her, "Don't be afraid, my dear child. Stay with me, and if you do all the housework properly, everything will turn out well for you. You must only make my bed nicely and give it a good shaking so the feathers fly. Then it will snow on earth, for I am Mother Holle. Holle free Holle." Sorry. Since the old woman had spoken so kindly to her, the maiden agreed to enter her service. She took care of everything to the old woman's satisfaction, and always shook the bed so hard that the feathers flew about like snowflakes. In return, the woman treated her well. She never said an unkind word to the maiden, and she gave her roasted and boiled meat every day. After the maiden had spent a long time with Mother Holle, her heart saddened. Even though everything was 1,000 times better there than at her home, she still had a yearning to return. At last she said to Mother Holle, "I've got a tremendous longing to return home, and even though everything is wonderful here, I can't stay any longer." "You're right," Mother Holle responded, "and since you've served me so faithfully, I myself will bring you up here, up there again." Up there? Okay. Right, because she fell in the well. Never mind. Okay. She took the maiden by the hand and led her to a large gate. When it was opened, the maiden was standing beneath the gateway. An enormous shower of gold. An enormous shower of gold came pouring down, and all the gold stuck to her so that she was completely covered with it. Mother Holle gave her a golden shower. "I want you to have this because you've been so diligent," said Mother Holle.
Thereupon the gate closed, and the maiden found herself up on earth. Then she went to her mother, and since she was covered with so much gold, her mother gave her a warm welcome. And then, when her mother heard how she obtained so much wealth, she wanted her other ugly and lazy daughter to have the same fortune. Therefore, this daughter also had to jump down the well. Like her sister, she awoke in the beautiful meadow and walked along the same path. When she came to the oven, the birds cried out, take me out, or else I'll burn. I've already been baked long enough. But the lazy maiden answered, do you think I want to get myself dirty? She moved on and soon came upon the apple tree that cried out, oh, shake me, my apples are all ripe. Hold on, I'll say that again. Oh, shake me, my apples are all ripe. Wow. Okay. My picture's not responding anymore. What the hell? There we go. However, the lazy maiden replied, are you serious? One of the apples could fall and hit me on my head. More people are popping up online right now. What the hell? None of them my stream. Oh, well. They got their stuff to do. I got mine, so I just like doing this stuff. I just can't get past my role and give it a golden shower. When she came to Mother Holle's cottage, she wasn't afraid because she had already heard about the old woman's big teeth, and she hired herself out right away. On the first day, she made an effort to work hard and obey Mother Holle, but when the woman told her what to do, for the thought of gold was on her mind. On the second day, she started loafing, and on the third day, she loafed even more. Indeed, she didn't want to get out of bed in the morning, and she did a poor job of making Frau Holle's bed. Why do they call her Frau Holle on that one line? The only time she's called Frau Holle. And I was laughing about the Holy Frau Holle. I guess now it's German instead of Spanish. Okay. She certainly didn't shake it hard enough to make the feathers fly. So Mother Holle became tired of this and discharged the maiden from her service. The lazy maiden was quite happy to go and now expected the shower of gold. Mother Holle led her to the gates, but as the maiden was standing beneath the gateway, a big kettle of pitch came pouring down over her instead of the gold. Pitch being tar, in case you didn't know. And they're usually poured on stairs to keep princesses from running away. Never mind. Actually, pitch is usually done to seal ships, so they are waterproof, but anyway. That's the reward for your services, Mother Holle said, and closed the gate. The lazy maiden went home covered with pitch, and it stuck to her for as long as she lived. Wow, that would suck. Because she literally pitched a fit. Okay, let's see. The Three Ravens. Once upon a time, there was a mother who had three little sons who were playing cards one day next to the church. When the sermon was finished, the mother returned home and saw what they had been doing, so she cursed her godless children, and they immediately turned into three coal-black ravens and flew away. The end. No, it's not. The three brothers, however, had a little sister who loved them with all her heart, and she grieved so much about their banishment that she no longer had any peace of mind, and finally set out to look for them. The only thing that she took with her for the long, long journey was a little stool on which she rested when she became too tired. And she ate nothing the entire time but wild apples and pears. Unfortunately, she couldn't find the three ravens, but one time, when they had flown over her head, one of them dropped a ring, and when she picked it up, she recognized it as the ring that she had given her youngest brother one time as a present. The sister continued her journey, and she went far, so very far, until she came to the end of the world and went to the sun, which was, however, much too hot and ate small children. What? I wasn't aware the sun would eat small children if they walked to it. So after that she went to the moon, which was, however, much too cold and also mean, and when it saw her it said, I smell human flesh. Because humans stink. At least it didn't want to eat her like the sun. So the maiden left there quickly and went to the stars, which were good to her, and each one sat on the little stool, and the morning star stood up and gave her a gammy leg to help her open the gate to the Glass Mountain. Um, what? A gammy leg? No. If you don't have this little leg, you won't be able to climb the Glass Mountain. It's on the Glass Mountain that you'll find your brothers. So the sister took the gamey leg, wrapped it in some cloth, and continued her journey until she came to the Glass Mountain. However, the gate was closed, and just as she wanted to take the gammy leg from the cloth, she discovered that she had lost it along the way. Since she didn't know what to do, she took a knife and sliced off her pinky and stuck it in the lock, and opened the gate. Then a little dwarf came towards her and said, My child, what are you looking for here? I'm looking for my brothers, the three ravens. The Lord Ravens are not at home, said the little dwarf. If you want to wait, then come in. And the little dwarf brought 3 plates and 3 little mugs, and the sister ate a bit from each little plate and a sip from each mug. And then she let a little ring fall into the last mug. All of a sudden, a whizzing and buzzing could be heard in the air. The Lord Ravens are flying back home, said the little dwarf. And the ravens began to speak one after another. Who has eaten from my little plate? Who has drunk from my little mug? And the third raven, however, came to his little mug, and he found the ring, and saw clearly that their little sister had arrived. They recognized her because of the ring, and they were all saved and transformed, and were happy to go home. If anyone wants to know what a gammy leg is, it's pretty much a dead, limp leg where all the flesh is kind of loose and sagging and pretty much decayed, but still inside the skin. Think gummy instead of gammy. Got the picture now? Cool, cool. Then now we're getting to the stories that I do like. Maybe. Ones I've probably read before, but I'm going to read them again because continuity. I think it's probably one of the first ones I read out of this book when I was streaming, so. Little Red Cap. Or as most of you pups would probably think more along the lines of Little Red Riding Hood. Because honestly, Red Cap is a fairy. Little Red Riding Hood is definitely not a fairy. She's a snack. Chew your food, cubs. Okay, how do I want to read this? Do I want to read it Big Bad Wolf style? Yeah, I'm going to read it Big Bad Wolf style. Let me get myself adjusted for this. Once upon a time, there was a sweet little maiden. Whoever laid eyes upon her couldn't help but love her. But it was her grandmother who could never give the child enough. One day she made a present, a small red velvet cap, and since it was so becoming and the maiden always wanted to wear it, the people only called her Little Red Cap. One day her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Cap, take this piece of cake and a bottle of wine and bring them to your grandmother. She's sick and weak, and this will strengthen her. Be nice and good and greet her from me. Go directly there and don't stray from the path, otherwise you will fall and break the glass, and your grandmother will get nothing." Little Red Cap promised to obey her mother. Well, the grandmother lived out in the forest, half an hour from the village, and as soon as Little Red Cap entered the forest, she encountered the wolf. However, Little Red Cap didn't know what a wicked sort of animal he was, and was not afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Cap," he said. "Thank you kindly, Wolf. Where are you going so early, Little Red Cap?" "To grandmother's." "What are you carrying under your apron?" "Cake and wine. My grandmother's sick and weak, and yesterday we baked this cake so it will help her get well." "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Cap?" "About a quarter of an hour from here in the forest. Her house is under 3 big oak trees. You can tell it by the hazel bushes," said Little Red Cap. The wolf thought to himself, "What a juicy morsel she'll be for me. Now how am I going to catch her?" Then he said, "Listen, Little Red Cap, haven't you seen the beautiful flowers growing in the forest? Why don't you look around? I believe you haven't even noticed how lovely the birds are singing. You march along as if you're going straight to school in the village, and yet it's so delightful out here in the woods." Little Red Cap looked around and saw that the sun had broken through the trees and that the woods were full of beautiful flowers. So she thought to herself, "If I bring grandmother a bunch of flowers, she'll certainly like that. It's still early, and I'll arrive on time." She plunged into the woods to look for flowers, and each time she plucked one, she thought she saw another beautiful, even prettier flower, and ran after it, going deeper and deeper into the forest. But the wolf went straight to grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who's there?" "Little Red Cap. I've brought you some cake and a wine. Open up." "Just lift the latch," the grandmother called. "I'm too weak and can't get up." The wolf lifted the latch, and the door sprang open. Then he went straight to grandmother's bed and gobbled her up. Then he took her clothes and put them on along with her nightcap, and lay down in her bed and drew the curtains. Meanwhile, Little Redcap had been running around looking for all the flowers, and only when she had as many as she could carry did she continue on her way to Grandmother's. She was puzzled when she found the door open, and as she entered the room it seemed strange inside that she thought, "Oh, my God, how frightened I feel today, and usually I like to be at Grandmother's." Then she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay her grandmother with the cap pulled down over her face, giving her a strange appearance. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have! The better to hear you with. Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have! The better to see you with. Oh, grandmother, what big hands you have! The better to grab you with. Oh, grandmother, what a big mouth you have! The better to eat you with." No sooner did the wolf say that than he jumped out of the bed and gobbled up poor Little Redcap. After the wolf had the fat chunks in his body, he lay down in bed again, fell asleep, and began to snore very loudly. The huntsman happened to be passing by the house and thought to himself, "The way that woman's snoring, you'd better see if something's wrong." He went into the room, and when he came to the bed, he saw the wolf lying in it. He had been searching for the wolf for a long time, and thought that the beast was certainly eating the grandmother. "Perhaps she can still be saved," he said to himself. "I won't shoot." So he took some scissors and cut open the wolf's belly, and after he made a couple of cuts, he saw the little red cap shining forth, and he made a few more cuts. The girl jumped out and exclaimed, "Oh, how frightened I was! It was so dark in the wolf's body." Soon the grandmother emerged alive as well. Little Redcap quickly fetched some large, heavy stones, and they filled the wolf's body with them. When he awoke and tried to run away, the stones were so heavy that he fell down at once and died. All three were delighted. The huntsman skinned the fur from the wolf. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine that Little Redcap had brought. And Little Redcap thought to herself, "Never again will you stray from the path by yourself and go into the forest when your mother has forbidden it." Yeah, right. Chew your food, cubs. Chew your food, do not swallow it whole. How many times do I tell you, cubs, that? I mean, really, chew your food. Can someone go back and clip that? I mean, the my what big eyes you have and that kind of such nonsense. Oh hell! Can't go back to it now. I guess I'll have to highlight it later. That was around 1 hour and 4 minutes. Let me write that down somewhere. Write it down on 3. Okay. So honestly, I want to clip that. Okay. And let's get to another little red one here. Okay. And this is one of the narrators retelling something on it, so it's also been told that Little Red Cap returned to her grandmother one day to bring some baked goods. Another wolf spoke to her and tried to entice her to leave the path. But this time Little Red Cap was on her guard. She went straight ahead and told her grandmother what she had seen, that she had seen the wolf, and that he wished her a good day, and that he had such a mean look in his eyes, he would have eaten me if I hadn't been on the open road. Come, said the grandmother, we'll lock the door so he can't get in. Soon after, the wolf knocked and cried out, Open up, grandmother, it's Little Red Cap, and I've brought some baked goods. But she kept quiet and didn't open the door, so the wicked wolf circled the house several times and finally jumped on the roof. He wanted to wait until evening when Little Red Cap would go home. Then he intended to sneak after her and eat her up in the darkness. But the grandmother realized what he had in his mind and left in front of the house a big stone trough, which she said to the child, Fetch the bucket, Little Red Cap. I cooked sausages today. When get the water, they were boiled and poured through the trough. Little Red Cap kept carrying water until she had filled the big trough. Then the smell of sausages reached the nose of the wolf. He sniffed and looked down. Finally, he stretched his neck so far that he could no longer keep balance on the roof and began to slip from the roof and fell right into the big trough and drowned. Little Red Cap went happily and safely to her home. Yeah, so you can only trick Little Red Cap one time. And when you do, chew, damn it! Chew your freaking food. Okay. So, this one's not quite about Mary, but it's about the Goose Boy. Goose Boy, honk. Okay. Alright, so Death and the Goose Boy. A poor goose boy went walking along the bank of a large, turbulent river while looking over after a flock of his white geese, when he saw Death come towards him across the water. The boy asked him where he had come from and where he intended to go. Death answered that he had come across the water and wanted to leave the world. The poor goose boy asked Death once more how he could actually leave the world. Death said that one must go across the river into the new world that lay on the other side. The goose boy said that he was tired of his life and asked Death to take him across the water. Death said it was not time yet. There were things Death still needed to do. Not far from there lived a greedy man who at night kept trying to gather more and more precious money and possessions. Death led him to the large river and pushed him in. Since he couldn't swim, he sank to the bottom before he could reach the bank. His cats and dogs had run after him were also drowned. A few days later, Death returned to the Goose Boy and found him singing cheerfully. Do you want to come with me now? He asked. The Goose Boy went willingly across the river with his white geese, which were all turned into white sheep. What? The Goose Boy looked at the beautiful country and heard that the shepherds of places like that became kings. And as he was looking around, the arch-shepherds, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, came towards him, put a crown on his head, and led him to the castle of the shepherds, where he can still be found. What? So that had a Judeo-Christian twist at the end of it. I mean, the arch-shepherds Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Christians got to keep butting their heads into fairy tales. They just got to take everything over, don't they? Okay. The singing bone. Well, that just starts out weird. I'm not going to say what popped into mind when I heard that, but okay. A wild boar was causing great damage throughout the entire country. Nobody dared go into the forest where the beast was running around. Whoever had been so bold to enter the forest and try to kill the boar had been ripped apart by its tusks. They call me Mr. Pig. Sorry. So the king proclaimed that whoever killed the wild boar would receive his only daughter for a wife. Man, you get some fresh bacon and a wife. Cool. Now, 3 brothers were living in the realm. The oldest was wily and smart. The second was somewhat intelligent, and the third and youngest, naive and dumb. They thought of winning the princess and wanted to look for the wild boar and kill it. The 2 older brothers went out together, while the youngest proceeded alone. As this young man entered the forest, the little man appeared before him. He was holding a heavy lance in his hand and said, "Take this lance and attack the wild boar without fear. You'll be able to kill it." Right, sure you will. You don't take a lance to a boar fight. Honestly, boars are frickin' vicious, man. I'm sure they would want to get around a female with piglets, because they'll not only kill you, but they will feed you to their young. What can I say? It's actually true. I mean, I don't remember adding sounds. Gotta watch out for those pigs. Pigs are evil. Well, that sucked. Okay. And this is what happened. He struck the boar with the black lance so that it fell to the ground. Then he cheerfully lifted the beast on his shoulders and carried it toward home. It says he just struck it and it fell. It did not say that it killed it. I'm reading ahead. Along the way, he passed a house in which his older brothers were enjoying themselves by drinking wine. When they saw him carrying the boar on his back, they called out to him, "Come inside and have a drink with us. You must be tired." The innocent bumpkin didn't suspect anything evil, because they're innocent bumpkins. So he went inside and told them how he killed the boar with the lance, and was so delighted about his good fortune. In the evening, they headed towards their home together. The 2 brothers made a plan to take their brother's life. They let him go ahead of them, and as they approached the city and were on a bridge, they attacked him and beat him to death. Brotherly love right there, man. Sorry. Then they buried him deep under the bridge. Afterward, the eldest took the boar and carried it to the king and received the princess for a wife. It took many years before this deed was revealed, and it happened when the shepherd was crossing the bridge and he noticed a little bone lying on the ground below the sand. Since it was so clean and snow white, he wanted to make a mouthpiece of a horn from it. Okay. Little brother's getting blown. So he went down and picked it up. Later he made it into a mouthpiece, and as he set into the horn and wanted to blow, Little Begun began to sing on his own accord. I'm not going to be able to read this seriously. Just, a warning. Dear shepherd, blowing on my bone, hear my song, for I want you to know my brothers killed me long ago. They buried me by the brook that flows, and carried off the dead wild boar, and won the king's lone daughter. Dear shepherd, blowing on my bone. The shepherd immediately took the horn and brought it to the king, and it once again sang the same words. When the king heard this song, he had the ground beneath the bridge dug up, and the skeleton of the dead brother was revealed. The two evil brothers confessed their crime and were thrown into the water. However, the bone of the murdered brother was laid to rest in a beautiful grave in the churchyard. What? Sorry, I got distracted. I looked up at the TV and they were having a lingerie party in the movie. Oh, I've been single too long. Okay, let's keep reading because it's an hour 17, and I know I spent the first 25 of it just goofing off. So, and I've kind of dismissed the whole thing about reading to my niece and nephew because I'm having too much fun reading this on my own. I hope you guys are having fun listening to these stories too, because it's definitely interesting stories. I mean, I think they're hilarious, honestly. Okay. And this one, next one is The Devil with the Three Golden Hairs. That's like hair on a head, not hair as in rabbit. So that would be cool too. Just, three golden bunnies. Anyway. A woodcutter was chopping wood in front of the king's house while the princess was standing at the window above and observing him. When noon arrived, he sat down in the shadow and wanted to rest. Now the princess was able to see that he was very handsome and fell in love with him. In other words, he took his shirt off and it was like glistening and rippling and wiping himself down with the sweat. And the princess is going, "Hello there." "Well, hello, Mr. Woodsman. Yeah." So she had him summoned to her, and soon as he caught sight of her and saw how beautiful she was, he fell in love with her. Yeah. Hot, sweaty guy goes escorted to the princess's chamber. Someone's going to be falling in love. I don't know. Soon they were united in their love for one another, but the king learned that the princess had fallen in love with a woodcutter, and as soon as he knew this, he went to her and said, "You know that you may only wed a man who brings me 3 golden hairs from the devil's head, whether he be a prince or a woodcutter." So this is saying the devil's blonde. Cool.
Of course he would. Why wouldn't we? Because if it was redhead, he'd have no soul. Okay. The king thought that there had never been a prince courageous enough to accomplish this task, and therefore an inferior man like a woodcutter would certainly not succeed. Well, that's just bias against woodcutters right there. Since there was nothing else she could do, she told the woodcutter what her father had said. However, the woodcutter was not at all depressed by this and said, "Oh, I'll certainly succeed. Stay true to me until I return. Early tomorrow. I'll shut out." Indeed, the woodcutter began his journey to the devil the next day, and soon came to a big city. In front of the gate, a guard asked him what kind of craft he practiced and what he knew. "I know everything," answered the woodcutter. "If you know everything," the gatekeeper said, "then make our princess healthy again. No doctor in the world has been able to cure her." "When I return." In the second city, he was also asked what he knew. "I know everything." "Then tell us why our beautiful well in the marketplace has become dry." "When I return," said the woodcutter, and he refused to be detained. After a while, he came to a fig tree that was rotting, and nearby stood a man who asked him what he knew. "I know everything." "Then tell me why my fig tree is rotting and no longer bearing any fruit." "When I return." The woodcutter traveled on and encountered ferrymen who had transported him across the river and asked him what he knew. "I know everything." "So tell me when I will finally be relieved and someone else will transport people across the river." "When I return." After the woodcutter was on the other side, he entered hell. Everything appeared black and sooty. However, the devil was not home. Only his wife was sitting there. The woodcutter said to her, "Good day, Mrs. Devil. I've come here to take 3 golden hairs that your husband has on his head. And I'd like to know why a princess cannot be cured, and why a deep well at the marketplace doesn't have any water, why a fig tree doesn't bear any fruit, and why a ferryman has not been relieved from his work." His wife was horrified and said, "When the devil comes and finds you here, he'll eat you right away, and you'll never be able to get the 3 golden hairs. But since you are so young, and I feel sorry for you, I'll see if I can save you." Because he's a strapping young man and the devil's wife is horny. Ha ha ha! Okay. The woodcutter lay down beneath the bed. And and no sooner did he than the devil came home. "Good evening, wife," he said, and proceeded to take off his clothes. Then he burst out saying, "What's going on in this room? I smell the flesh of a man. I've got to look around." "What are you going to smell?" his wife asked. "You've got the sniffles, and the smell of human flesh is stuffed up in your nose." "Don't mess everything up. I've just cleaned the house." Because Mrs. Devil is a housekeeper. Who probably looks really good in the maid's outfit. Not gonna lie. I mean, she's Mrs. Devil. She's gotta be hot. "I won't make any noise. I'm tired this evening. And you won't even begrudge me a little something to eat?" Upon saying that, the devil laid himself down on the bed, and his wife had to lay down beside him. Good thing there weren't any bed springs this time. Soon he fell asleep. First he blew, then he snored.
At the beginning of this, he did this softly, and he was so loud that the windows trembled. When his wife saw that he was sound asleep, she grabbed one hold of the 3 golden hairs and ripped it out, and threw it to the woodcutter beneath the bed. The devil jumped up. "What are you doing, wife? Are you tearing my hair out?" "Oh, I had a nightmare. I must have done it because I was afraid." "What did you dream about?" "I dreamed about a princess who was deathly sick, and no doctor in the world could cure her." "Well, why don't they get rid of the white toad that's sitting under her bed?"
Oh.
He's horny and smart. Okay, that was the first hair. After saying that, the devil turned to his other side and fell asleep again. When his wife heard him snoring, she grabbed hold of a second hair and ripped it out and threw it under the bed. The devil jumped up. "Hey, what are you doing? Have you gone mad? You've been terrible ripping out my hair." "Oh, listen, my dear husband. I was standing in a large well at a marketplace, and people were yammering because there was no longer any water in it. They asked me if I knew if there was any way to help them. Well, I looked down the well, but it was so deep I became dizzy, and I wanted to stop myself. Then I got entangled in your hair." "You should have told them that they had to pull out the white stone that's lying on the bottom of the well. Now leave me alone and get back to your dreams." He lay down once more and soon began snoring atrociously as before. His wife thought, "I've got to dare once more." And sure enough, she ripped the third hair out and threw it down to the woodcutter. The devil leapt into the air and wanted to teach her a nasty lesson, but his wife calmed him down, kissing him, and said, "What horrible dreams. A man showed me a fig tree that was wilting. He complained that it no longer bare any fruit. I wanted to shake the tree to see if something would fall out of it. Next thing I knew, I was shaking your hair." "That would have been in vain. There's a mouse gnawing on the roots of the tree. If it's not killed, then the tree will be lost. Once the mouse is dead, the tree will be fresh and regain its health and bear fruit. Now stop plaguing me with all your damn dreams. I want to sleep. If you wake me up one more time, I'll give you a good slap to your face." She might like that. You never know. His wife was very much afraid of the devil's anger, but the poor woodcutter had to know one more thing only the devil knew. So the wife pulled his nose and lifted him into the air. The devil jumped up as though he were out of his mind and gave her a smack to the face that resounded all over the place. His wife began to weep and said, "Do you want me to fall into the water and drown? The ferryman brought me across the river, and as the barge approached the other side, it bumped into a bank. I was afraid that I might fall and wanted to grab hold of the anchor, which was attached to a chain. That's why I grabbed hold of your nose." "How come you didn't pay attention? The barge does this all the time." "The ferryman complained to me that no one had come to relieve him, and there's no end to his work." "All he has to do is get the first man who comes to take over the ferrying from him until a third man comes who relieves him. This is a way that he can help himself, but your dream is really strange. Everything you've told me about the ferryman is true, and nothing else as well. Now don't wake me again, or soon it will be morning and I want to sleep a little more. Otherwise I'll make you pay if you disturb me." After the woodcutter had heard everything and the devil was snoring again, he thanked the devil's wife and departed. When he arrived at the barge, the ferryman wanted some information. When the woodcutter was on the other Take me across. When the woodcutter was on the other side, he said to the ferryman, "The next person who comes and wants to be taken across the river, keep him there until he takes your job and continues your work until another man comes to relieve him." Seems easy enough. It's, right to work state hell, Texas. You have to be union, just have to give the job and whoever stupid enough to take it. Soon after, the woodcutter came to the man with a wilted fig tree and said to him, "All you have to do is kill the white mouse that's gnawing on the roots. Then your tree will bear fruit again, just as it did in the past." "What do you demand for a return?" asked the man. "I want a troop of soldiers." No sooner did he say this than a troop of soldiers began marching behind him. How does a guy with a dying fig tree get a troop of frickin' soldiers? No, well. The woodcutter thought that things were going well, and he arrived at the city where the well at the marketplace had run dry. "Fetch the white stone that's lying at the bottom of the well." But someone climbed down and fetched the stone, and no sooner was he above than the well began flowing, filled once again with the clearest water. "How should we reward you?" the mayor asked. Give me a regiment of cavalry officers." Everyone can afford that, clearly. Okay. And as the woodcutter went through the city gate, a regiment of cavalry officers rode behind him. This was how he entered the city where the princess, whom no doctor could cure, was lying on a sickbed. "All you have to do is kill the white toad that's hiding beneath your princess's bed." And when that was done, the princess began to recuperate and became healthy and rosy. "What do you want for a reward?" asked the king. "4 wagons loaded with gold," said the woodcutter. Finally, the woodcutter reached home, and behind him were a troop of infantrymen, a regiment of cavalry officers, and 4 wagons loaded entirely with gold. The 3 gold hairs of the devil, however, were carried by himself. He ordered his regiments to wait in front of the royal gate. They were to enter quickly if he gave sight from the castle. Then he went to the father of his beloved princess and handed him the devil's 3 gold hairs, and asked him to give the princess for his bride in keeping with the promise he'd made. The king was astonished and said that the woodcutter had done quite right in regard to the devil's 3 hairs. Nevertheless, the king had stated that he'd have to think about whether he would give him the princess as a bride. As soon as the woodcutter heard this, he moved to the window and whistled to his companions. All of a sudden, the troops of infantrymen and regiments of cavalry soldiers and 4 heavily loaded wagons marched and rolled through the gate. "My king," said the woodcutter, "take a look at my people whom I have brought along with me. And over there is all my wealth in those wagons full of gold. Don't you want to give me the princess?" The king was terrified and said, "Yes, with all my heart," because kings are pansies. Then the woodcutter and the princess were married and lived in bliss. This is why whoever is not afraid of the devil can tear his hair out and win the entire world. Okay, so yeah, he didn't do anything at all. It's like he just waited until the devil's wife did all the real work. Cubs, really. Let's see, what do I want to read? I think I'll read. Until Clever Hands. So we've got 6 more pages I'm going to read tonight. Oh, this next one looks like it's going to bug me. And why is it going to bug me, you say? Because it's the little Louse and the little Flea. For fuck's sake, sound bites, what the hell? Anyway, a little Louse and a little Flea were living together in a house, and were brewing beer in an eggshell when the Louse fell in and was scalded. Well, that just starts weird. Then the Flea began to scream as loud as he could, and a little door to the room asked, "Why are you screaming, little Flea?" "Because little Louse has been scalded." Then the little door began to creak, and a little broom in the corner asked, "Why are you creaking, door?" "Why shouldn't I creak? Little Louse has been scalded, and little Flea is weeping." Then the little broom began to sweep in a frenzy, when a little cart came driving by and asked, "Why are you sweeping, broom?" "Why shouldn't I sweep? Little Louse just got scalded, little Flea is weeping, little door is creaking." "Well, then I'm going to race around," said the little cart. And it began racing around furiously. And the little dung heap, which passed, asked, "Why are you racing around, little cart?" "Why shouldn't I race around? Little Louse has just got scalded, little Flea is weeping, little door is creaking, little broom is sweeping." "Then I'm going to burn with fury." Some hot shit. Then the little dung heap, and it began to burn in bright flames. Then a little tree nearby asked, "Why are you burning, little dung heap?" "Why shouldn't I burn? Little Louse has just got scalded, little Flea is weeping, little door is creaking, little broom is sweeping, little cart is racing." "Well, then I'm going to shake myself," said the tree, and it shook itself so hard that its leaves began to fall. Then a maiden with a water jug came by and asked, "Little tree, why are you shaking?" "Why shouldn't I shake? Little Louse just got scalded, little Flea is weeping, little door is creaking, little broom is sweeping, little cart is racing, and little dung heap is burning." "Well, then I'm going to break my little water jug," said the maiden. And as she was breaking it, the little spring from which the water came asked, "Maiden, why are you breaking the little water jug?" "Why shouldn't I break it? Little Louse has just got scalded, little Flea is weeping, little door is creaking, little broom is racing, little cart—" Well, damn it. "Why shouldn't I break it? Little Louse just got scalded, little Flea is weeping, little door is creaking, little broom is sweeping, little cart is racing, little dung heap is burning, and little tree is shaking." "Goodness gracious," said the little spring, "then I'm going to flow." And it began to flow so violently that they were all drowned in the water. The maiden, the little tree, the little dung heap, the little cart, the little door, the little Flea, little Louse, every last one of them. The fuck? Little spring solves it all. Mm. Yeah, so. Oh. Oh, wow, the next one looks like it'd be interesting. Maiden without hands. No maidens. Oh, yeah. A miller, who was so poor that he had nothing else but his mill and a large apple tree behind it, went into the forest to fetch wood. While he was there, he met an old man who said, "Why are you torturing yourself so much? I'll make you rich if you promise to give me what's behind your mill. In 3 years, I'll come and fetch what's mine." The miller thought to himself, "That's my apple tree." So he said, "Yes," and signed it away to the man. When the miller returned home, his wife said to him, "Tell me, miller, how did all this wealth suddenly get into our house? All at once I discovered our chests and boxes were full of money." "From a stranger I met in the forest," he said. "He promised me a great wealth if I agreed to give him what's behind our mill." "Oh, husband," his wife exclaimed in dread, "this is terrible. That was the devil. He didn't mean the apple tree, but our daughter, who was behind the mill there sweeping out the yard." The miller's daughter was beautiful and pious maiden, and after 3 years the devil appeared quite early and wanted to fetch her. But she drew a circle around herself and purified herself. Consequently, the devil couldn't get near her, and said angrily to the miller, "I want you to take all the water away from the girl so she can't wash herself anymore." "Damn. Then I'll have power over her." Since the miller was afraid of the devil, he did what he was told. The next morning the devil came again, but she swept on her hands and washed herself with tears so that she was completely clean. Once more the devil couldn't get near her and said furiously to the miller, "Chop off her hands so that I can grab hold of her." The miller was horrified and replied, "How can I chop the hands off my own dear child? I won't do it." "You know what? Then I'll take you instead if you don't do it." The father was so terribly scared of him that, in his fear, he promised to do what the devil commanded. He went to his daughter and said, "My child, if I don't chop off your hands, the devil will take me away. And in fear I promised I'd do it. Please forgive me." "Father," she answered, "do what you want with me." Then she extended both her hands and let him chop them off. The devil came a third time, but she had wept so long and so much that her stumps that they too were also clean. So he lost any claim he had on her. Now, since the miller had gained so much wealth thanks to his daughter, he promised her that he would see to it that she'd live in splendor for the rest of her life. But she didn't want to remain there. "I want to leave here and shall depend on the kindness of people to provide me with whatever I need." Then she had her maimed hands bound to her back, and at dawn she set out on her way and walked the entire day until it became dark and she reached the king's garden. There was a hole in the hedge of the garden, so she went inside through the hole and found an apple tree that she shook with her body. When the apples fell to the ground, she leaned down and lifted them with her teeth and ate them. She lived this way for 2 days, but on the third the guards came and saw her, so they seized her and threw her in the prison house. And on the next day she was led before the king, and was to be expelled from the country. "Why?" cried the prince. "It would be better if she looked after the chickens in the courtyard." So she remained there for some time and looked after the chickens. Meanwhile the prince saw her often and became very fond of her. However, the time came for him to marry, and the royal messengers were sent out all over the world to find a beautiful bride for him. "You don't have to send out messengers to reach so far," said the prince. "I know a bride who is very close." The king reflected and tried to think of a maiden, but he wasn't familiar with any young maidens in his land who were beautiful and rich. "You don't intend to marry the maiden who tends the chickens in the courtyard, do you?" The son explained, however, that he wouldn't marry anyone else but her. Finally, the king had to yield to his wish, and soon thereafter he died. The prince inherited the throne and lived happily with his wife for some time. Yet at one point the young king had to leave his realm and fight in a war, and during his absence his wife gave birth to a beautiful child. She sent a messenger with a letter to announce the good news. However, on the way the messenger stopped to rest near a brook and fell asleep. The devil appeared, for he was still trying to harm the pious queen. So he exchanged the letter for another one that the queen had given birth to a changeling. When the king read the letter, he was quite distressed, but wrote the letter back in which he declared that the queen and the child should be protected until his return. The messenger started back with the letter, but stopped to rest at the same spot and fell asleep. Once again the devil came and put a different letter in his pocket that said they should banish the queen and the child to his land. This was to be done, even if all the people in the court wept out of sadness. I didn't come here to become queen. I didn't have any luck and also don't demand any, the queen declared. Bind my child and my hands to my back and I'll set out to the world. Because, queens will do that. That evening she reached a fountain in a dense forest where a good old man was sitting. Show me some mercy, she said, and lift my child to my breast so that I can give him something to drink. The man did this, whereupon he said to her, There's a thick standing over there. Go over and wrap your maimed arms around it. When she did this, her hands grew back. Thereupon the old man pointed to a house. Go and live there. Don't leave the house, and don't open the door unless someone asks 3 times to enter for God's sake. In the meantime, the king returned home and realized how he had been deceived. Consequently, he set out accompanied by a single servant to look for his wife. Aye. After a long journey, he lost his way one night in the same forest in which the queen was living. However, he didn't know that the queen was so close. Over there, his servant said. There's a little light glimmering in the house. Thank God we can rest there. Not at all, responded the king. I don't want to rest very long. I want to continue to search for my wife before I can take any rest. The servant pleaded and complained so much about being tired that the king agreed out of compassion. When they arrived at the house, the moon was shining, and they saw the queen standing in the window. Goodness, that must be our queen, the servant said. She resembles her very much, but I realize that it can't be the queen because this woman has hands. The servant requested lodging for the night, but she refused each time she didn't ask for God's sake. He wanted to move on and look for another. Then the king himself stepped forward and cried out, For God's sake, let me enter. I can't let you enter unless you ask me 3 times for God's sake. After the king asked 2 more times for God's sake, she opened the door. Then his little son came skipping toward him and led the king to his mother. He recognized her immediately as his beloved wife. The next morning they left the house and began traveling together to return to their country. The house had vanished right behind them. Okay. That's the last one before I get into Clever Hands, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the reading for the night. I hope any of you cubs that came in and listened enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, by all means give me a follow. And let me go ahead and switch back to regular scene. Okay. Well, stories have been told. Interesting continuation on the Little Red Riding Hood one. Well, Little Red Cap. That kind of got played into one of the 3 Little Pig stories eventually.
Let's see. I want to raid someone. Who to raid? Who to raid? Deco was still playing RPGs. Woven Moon is playing Deep Rock Galactic. Never really heard of that one, but seems like a good person to raid, so. I'm gonna come up with a raid message, so. Not any book emojis. Oh, there's a few, okay. Not that I really expect anyone to do this, but copy it. Oh, fairy tales are real. That sounds like a good one. And it's gonna look like this. The book came from the Better TV channel emotes. I just did a search for book and that came up. So if I have any raiders, that'd be cool to do, but follow the people that appeared in my. What? Okay. Yeah, she said. Crap, is she still streaming? Oh no, she's not. Damn. Never mind, just not following. I check. Okay, yeah, she's still on. Good. So, wait, raid. All right, let's do this thing. Going to raid Woven Moon Shadow. I do have the raid message, but I don't have anyone here who's gonna really do anything on it. So, hope all you cubs have a good night. I don't just the 2 hour mark, so I guess we're good. Later, pups.